The movie opens in 1944, towards the end of the Second World War. Finland and the Soviet Union have signed the Moscow Armistice, which states that Finland must disarm the Nazis and drive them out of Lapland. In response to this decree, the Nazis use a devastating military strategy known as Scorched Earth, which aims to destroy anything that might be useful to the enemy. Meanwhile, deep in the wilderness of Lapland, a former Finnish commando named Atami Korpi has made the decision to leave the war behind. He's accompanied by his loyal animals, a dog and a horse. Korpi now wants to pan for gold by a river. After he finds specks, he begins digging numerous holes throughout the area. His hard work finally pays off as, a week later, he discovers a significant gold deposit. Following this, he breaks the large gold deposit into several smaller nuggets. He carefully hides them in his tent, staying awake all night to ensure no one robs him. The following morning, Korpi gathers all the gold nuggets, placing them in a bag. He then sets off on his horse while his dog follows closely behind. A few hours later, he encounters a group of Nazi soldiers led by General Bruno. The soldiers are accompanied by a tank and a truck full of kidnapped women. Among the soldiers is an officer named Wolf, who regularly takes advantage of the captured women. Korpi continues to ride past them, exchanging a glance with Bruno, but otherwise ignoring their presence. After he passes a few meters ahead, Wolf raises his rifle to shoot Korpi, but Bruno intervenes. He knows the path that Korpi is on will lead him to his death anyway. After a while, our hero comes across the dead bodies left behind by the Nazi soldiers. Undeterred by the gruesome sight, he moves forward, eventually encountering a truck with 4 more soldiers. They order him to get off his horse, then inspect the bags and discover the gold. However, using his sharp tactical thinking, Korpi commands his dog to run away to cause a distraction. One of the soldiers attempts to shoot the dog, but the smart animal manages to evade the bullets. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Korpi grabs his knife and fatally stabs the soldier in the head. The remaining soldiers seek revenge, engaging in a hand-to-hand fight with Korpi. But he manages to skillfully beat them, wielding his knife and using their bodies as shields when gunfire erupts. Nearby, Bruno and the others hear the gunfire and return to the scene. They discover the aftermath of the carnage with no living being in sight. When Bruno inspects one of the bodies, he finds a hidden gold nugget in the soldier's pocket, prompting him to pursue Korpi. Moments later, the Nazis locate him down the road and the tank begins firing at him. Korpi urges his horse to gallop faster, barely evading the shots. With no clear escape route, he unintentionally enters a minefield. Bruno, confident of an easy victory, commands his men to cease fire and eagerly awaits Korpi's apparent demise. However, the horse bears the brunt of an explosion, leaving Korpi wounded but alive. He then bids farewell to his beloved horse before preparing for a counterattack. As the Nazis draw nearer, he quickly retrieves the gold that spilled out of the bag. Observing this, Bruno halts the attack, allowing him to collect the gold without risking their own lives. With the gold in hand, our hero also grabs a rock before Bruno gives the order to open fire. Korpi then hurls the rock at a landmine, triggering a series of explosions that shroud the area in smoke. This provides effective cover for him to hide and launch a counterattack. When the Nazis begin shooting, Korpi utilizes his panning plate as a makeshift shield. After a few minutes of indiscriminate gunfire, Bruno sends a young soldier to investigate Korpi. But the soldier is struck by a mine and killed on the spot. Bruno then dispatches 2 more soldiers, but they too unknowingly step on mines and meet their demise. When the smoke clears, the Nazis realize that Korpi has vanished. Determined to pursue him, Bruno orders 2 women to walk ahead as a safety precaution. Meanwhile, he searches the area and discovers Korpi's dog tag. The group resumes their advance with the 2 captured women positioned in front of the vehicle. Using the tank's radio, Bruno contacts headquarters to gather information on Korpi, only to receive shocking news. The superior warns Bruno and his team to cease pursuit immediately. He also says that they should consider themselves fortunate not to be already dead. It turns out that Korpi was the most dreaded commando in Finnish history, earning a reputation as a relentless and vengeful soldier who answered to no one. Having lost his home and family to the Russians during the Winter War, Korpi became a formidable force. He hunted Russian patrols alone in the wilderness, executing over 300 enemies. Despite the news, Bruno remains steadfast in his determination to locate Korpi. He hopes the gold will buy his way out of the future punishment, considering the Nazis are losing the war. After a nap behind a charred truck, Korpi awakens abruptly upon hearing noise from nearby. The Nazis have arrived, accompanied by trained dogs tasked with tracking Korpi's scent. Reacting swiftly, he seeks refuge beneath the burnt truck, carefully observing the enemies. He then waits until the final truck approaches and stealthily positions himself beneath it, gripping onto its undercarriage. Korpi punctures the fuel tank, causing gasoline to spill and interfere with the dog's ability to track his scent effectively. The soldiers halt their pursuit to devise a new strategy, presenting an opportunity for Korpi to make an escape. Unfortunately, the dogs swiftly detect him, barking to expose his presence. A soldier then shoots Korpi in the leg, but he manages to run away. As a result, Bruno releases the dogs to chase him down. At this moment, it appears as if Korpi is going to meet his demise. But he comes up with an excellent idea in the nick of time. He strikes a match, igniting his gas-soaked clothing. This startles the dogs, and they immediately retreat out of fear. Despite the short victory, the soldiers still pursue him, so Korpi dives into a nearby lake. After a while, when he finally emerges from the water, the soldiers open fire. Believing they have eliminated him, 3 soldiers embark on a boat intending to recover the gold. However, as soon as one soldier dives into the water, Korpi launches a surprise attack from behind, neutralizing him with his knife. Only blood appears on the surface, and Bruno orders the second soldier to jump in. But the result is the same, as blood surfaces again. This terrifies the third soldier, and he attempts to flee. But Wolf regards him as a traitor and guns him down. Seizing the opportunity, Korpi uses the fallen soldier's body as a shield, enabling him to escape without any harm. After hours of arduous trekking, he eventually reaches the nearest town, which is engulfed in flames. Overwhelmed by exhaustion, he seeks refuge within a destroyed gas station. But just as Korpi's about to fall asleep, he hears a bark in the distance. Then his beloved dog approaches him, and the two share a wonderful reunion. However, Korpi becomes terrified when he discovers dynamite fixed to its collar. Acting swiftly, he removes it and hurls it away. He manages to save his life, but the explosion still hurls him away. Subsequently, Korpi is discovered by Bruno and Wolf, who bind him to a signpost. The Nazi officers then take all of his gold, but before leaving, Bruno taunts Korpi by putting a nugget in his pocket. After the Nazis depart, Korpi begins his plan to stay alive. He steps on a nail attached to the signpost to support his body weight. He then presses his wounded leg onto a second nail. The pain is excruciating, but it keeps him conscious throughout the night with his loyal dog faithfully by his side. The following morning, a plane lands near the gas station, causing vibrations that shake the sign and topple Korpi to the ground. The 2 pilots disembark to refuel their plane. One of them discovers Korpi due to his incessantly barking dog. The second pilot urges him to shoot both of them. But when hesitation sets in, Korpi strikes the man's legs, causing him to fall and fatally strike his head. The dog's persistent barking compels the first pilot to investigate, providing Korpi with an opportunity to ambush him with a brick. Believing that all hope is lost, Korpi buries the nugget left by Bruno. However, the second pilot begins to move, revealing that he's still alive. Recognizing the pilot's potential usefulness, Korpi reclaims the gold and devises a plan. Following this, he painstakingly removes all the bullets and foreign objects from his wounds. Then he burns them with fire and secures them shut with wire before cleansing with gasoline. After this, Korpi and the pilot depart in the plane, reluctantly leaving the faithful dog behind. Later, the Nazis encounter a crashed plane blocking the road. Wolf shoots and cautiously approaches the aircraft, discovering the deceased pilot inside. To their astonishment, they find Wolf's rope wrapped around the pilot's neck. Bruno sees through Korpi's trap and realizes how dangerous he is, so he orders his men to leave immediately. Meanwhile, inside the Nazi truck, 2 soldiers are seen accompanying the captured women. Upon learning about the situation outside, the soldiers become curious about who Korpi is. One woman explains that while Korpi isn't truly immortal, he simply refuses to die. In Finnish, they refer to it as Sisu, a term denoting unwavering courage and determination. With Korpi's indomitable spirit, she predicts the demise of all the Nazis in due time. Suddenly, one soldier slumps lifeless, and the other is yanked out of the truck, subsequently crushed beneath an approaching tank. One of the women, named Aino, tries to grab the fallen soldier's weapon, but Korpi swiftly boards the truck and seizes it before her. Recognizing that these are prisoners, he allows Aino to keep the weapon. He then climbs atop the truck and kills the driver by stabbing him through the roof. After pulling the lifeless body out, Aino assumes control of the wheel. They maneuver the truck closer to the tank, enabling Korpi to leap onto it. When the people in the tank start to get suspicious, the girls use the dead body of a soldier to deceive them. Following this, Aino drives the truck alongside another vehicle carrying the majority of the Nazi soldiers. Without warning, the girls swiftly open fire, eliminating them all. Meanwhile, Korpi remains atop the tank and hammers the door with his pickaxe until the tank slams on its brakes, sending him tumbling. Wolf emerges from the tank, determined to shoot Korpi. But the latter quickly climbs on top of the tank, where he engages Wolf in an aggressive hand-to-hand battle. After exchanging a series of blows, the 2 fighters fall to the ground, leaving only Bruno and another Nazi named Schütze in the tank. Korpi lands several more blows on Wolf, but before he can deliver the final one, 2 additional soldiers arrive on a motorcycle. However, when they recognize the legendary Korpi, they immediately run away in fear. Seizing the opportunity, Korpi gets on the motorcycle and pursues the tank for a while. Wolf is relieved to have escaped certain death, but the vengeful women suddenly appear, seeking retribution. Eventually, the tank stops when they notice the plane that Korpi had flown in earlier. Inside, there's only space for 2 people, one of which is taken by the pilot. Without hesitation, Bruno kills Schütze and flees with the pilot in the plane. At this moment, Korpi arrives on the motorcycle, immediately opening fire. While he only manages to shatter the plane's windows before takeoff, he positions the motorcycle beneath it. He then grips the plane with his pickaxe and manages to cling to a wheel. Gradually, he makes his way inside by creating a hole in the plane's floor. Then he lunges at Bruno, starting a fierce brawl in the plane. Korpi is clearly the better fighter, but due to his extensive injuries, Bruno manages to overpower him. Frustrated by Korpi's refusal to yield, Bruno uses a metal wire to strike him with great force. But when he tries to do it again, Korpi catches the wire with his hand and connects it to a bomb. He then opens the trapdoor on the floor, resulting in Bruno being dragged out of the plane along with the bomb. The Nazi soldier then plummets to the ground and explodes into pieces when the bomb hits the ground. In the aftermath, Korpi is exhausted and tries to catch his breath, but the plane begins to shake violently, sending him hurtling towards the ground. It turns out the pilot died from a gunshot injury he sustained earlier. Desperate to survive, Korpi grabs the bag of gold and jumps off the plane right before it crashes into a swamp. Elsewhere, a Finnish unit prepares for an impending attack as they spot a German tank approaching. However, to their surprise, it turns out to be Aino and the girls, with Wolf bound to the cannon. Back at the swamp, we see that Korpi has managed to survive despite the plane crash. The movie then cuts to several days later. Korpi arrives in the city of Helsinki accompanied by his loyal dog. he boldly enters the bank, causing fear among other customers. As the credits begin to roll in, he empties the bag of gold onto the front desk and requests large bills, explaining that they'll be easier to carry due to their lighter weight.